So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring our acclaimed guest onto the show with us. So hang on for just a couple of seconds while we get Steve Blum to appear. Yay! How you doing, man? I'm doing great. Awesome episode. Obviously, that was Magnamon appeared in episode 20, but this was obviously, his torchlight for at least the first part of the episode. Was this the first time that you watched it all the way through?
Yes, I'm hearing a big echo here. Let me see if I can get rid of one of these things. I'm not sure how best to do this.
Maybe if you log out of your Twitch, that might help.
Uh-oh. Did that work?
It worked on my end.
Okay, I can... Yeah, okay, I'm just going to use it. I've got a teeny tiny window of you, and that's all I need to see.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm not important. You are.
No. I wanted to see you too, and hopefully see everybody else in the process.
So I have to ask you, as I'm getting to know all the actors that were in season 2, when season 2 started. Now, did you start with season 1? Were you any characters in season 1? Do you remember?
No, I started in season 2.
You started in season 2, okay.
Yeah, and I think my very first character was Magnamon, the Fighter of Courage.
Now, did you audition for that, or did they ask you to just do the character?
I don't remember. It was 20 years ago.
I know. It was crazy.
I think I auditioned for it. I
okay.
Don't know. Yeah.
I've always found it fascinating because we represent, two different sides of Vemon. You obviously represented some of his armor, Digimon as Flamedramon and Mega, what is it? I can't remember the character that we just saw. Magnamon. Yeah. And I auditioned for the trainee, the Vemon, and then the little Vemon and X Vemon, and then when Vemon becomes Pyldramon and Imperial Dramon when he digivolves with Wormmon. So that was crazy because I know that they didn't do that with most of the other actors. So I just found that fascinating.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on with anybody else. This is the first time I've actually seen this.
Yeah.
Other than our sessions, I didn't really get to see much of season 2 at all.
Right. Yeah.
I started writing for season 3 and season 4, and then I saw a lot more of the episodes that way.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let me see what we've got so far. If anybody is having questions. Okay, so we actually have one for from Oshana Star. Actually, we have a lot of questions here, but we'll start with Oshana Star. Question for both of us: when writing or directing, and then have voice roles in a show, do you feel more comfortable in your performance because you are more aware of the story or episode plot and the characters themselves? Of course, I understand that people direct you through the performances and writing and directing process. Months apart, more of an artistic acting question. So.
That's actually a really great question. The only time that I really noticed a big difference was writing for season 3 because my character was so prevalent in the show. I was a little more conscious of the arc of the character with Guilmon.
Okay.
So I wrote for a lot of the other characters that I voiced too, but that particular character, just because he had such a prominent role in the show, made a difference in how I approached him as an actor. The rest of it, I just relied on our director, which at that time was Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. Before that, it was Jeff Nimoy for season 2, right? Yeah.
Actually,
It was weird. That whole season was weird because of all the transitions of the different directors. Jeff Nimoy started. Michael Sorich did a couple of episodes,
Right.
and then Mary took over. And I think she took over like if not that episode that we just saw, possibly one or two episodes before that. So she kind of came into all this. And I don't know if you even remember this part, but at that particular point in time when we were recording, that was when Saban had their flood in their building.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
So we had to transfer everything over to Santa Monica for where we were recording there. And that was just a whole funky time period because it was like we're in a different space and it wasn't home. And it's like,
I remember that. It was really uncomfortable for everybody. Yeah. I don't know if it really showed in the show itself. I
don't think it did. If anything, if anything, particularly in this episode that we just watched, it was better for me emotionally when I had to do that whole breakdown of Ken, the Digimon Emperor kind of fizzling and becoming Ken, and then crying and going off into the distance. I've talked about this in panels. But that particular moment when we were doing that whole speech and he was going off and he was sobbing and crying and stuff, I didn't have to make that up. There was no acting involved in that. I was just like sobbing, and it's like as soon as we were all done with that and we stopped, it's like Mary Elizabeth and the engineer and whoever else was in the studio at the time. I think there were a couple of other people. It's like there was this dead silence for like a couple of seconds, and it's like you could hear on the talkback, okay, let's take a break for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, that was rough.
It was rough. But and I don't think we re-recorded that. It's like I don't think you could have. I couldn't have redone that even if I tried. It was
beautiful, dude.
It was amazing. Yeah,
really great.
Yeah. Let's check.
Lucky Dearly, the first one.
Okay, so when you first started voice acting forever and a day ago, like two eons ago, or something like that, the question that came in was, were you nervous about it at all when you first started? Did you start off as a regular actor? Did you just start off as a voice actor? How'd that all happen?
Oh, that's a great question. I started off completely by accident. I was a struggling musician. And, I was playing in an R&B band. This was during the 80s.
Okay.
Opening for hair bands and heavy metal acts. And, playing the LA circuit. And I really thought I wanted to be a musician. And I got a day job to support myself in a film studio called Empire Entertainment. We made movies like Reanimator and eventually the Puppet Master movies, things like that.
Oh, wow.
So I got a job there working in the mailroom, and the head of the mailroom was a guy named Victor Garcia. You might have known him. He was pretty active. Yeah. So Victor was casting for a show called The Guyver, and he needed somebody with a deep voice to come in and do some zoonoids. And I had the deepest voice in the mailroom. It was as simple as that. And I really was not interested in doing it. I had no interest in acting at all. I think I was the only guy in Hollywood at the time that did not want to be an actor. But he offered me free food. He he asked if I would come in on the weekend and help him move some equipment and audition. He would feed me free breakfast and lunch. And I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. And I liked all the people who were involved in it. Tom Fawn was one of the people involved in it in the early days.
Oh, very cool.
And he was working in our mailroom as well. And so I just went to hang out with my buddies and eat some pizza. And they had me audition for this creature. And the very first thing I saw was footage of a creature ripping the arm off of another creature and beating him with it. And they said, well, can you match that to what's going on screen? And I said, yeah, I can do that. So I just went up to the microphone and I had no idea what I was doing. And I just went, and right then and there, they said, oh, okay, you're hired. And I went, oh, no. And I thought, oh, God, now I've got to learn how to voice act. And all these really great actors were in the room, and I was watching them go up to the mic one after the other. And I was thinking, I don't know how to do any of this. This is terrifying. So for the first several shows that I worked on, including Cowboy Bebop, I was really scared for years. Every time I walked into that booth, I felt like they were going to figure out that I didn't know what I was doing. and that I was going to get fired from every job. So yeah, it was a very terrifying experience, and I didn't really start building my confidence until much later down the line, and it took me probably about 10 years to really feel good in the booth.
Now, Cowboy Bebop was your first lead role, yes?
That was my first leading role, right? Yeah.
How did that happen based on where you started from? Like, was it just like word of mouth? People just started recommending you, say, hey, you gotta like at least audition this guy?
Well, I was working a lot for LA Hero at the time with Yutaka Maseba and Kevin Seymour. We were doing a lot of different dubs at that time. Pretty big dubs, but I was sort of an ancillary player. And Kevin just decided that he wanted to try me out in that. And he threw me in the ring. I couldn't remember how that happened, but fortunately, I am now engaged to the director of that show, who reminds me of my past and put all the pieces together.
Yes.
And Mary said that he just cast me for that based on my work on some of the other things. So it was just a lucky thing. They didn't think that show was going to even have an audience. It didn't have much of an audience in Japan.
Yeah.
It was Mary's first directing gig, only because Kevin was too busy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just luck all the way around. And Kevin just had this amazing sensibility of putting a cast together where there was this automatic chemistry, even though some of us had never even met each other before.
Right.
And, we've become friends and family since then, as many of our casts have. Digimon was that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just an interesting time. We were all kind of there in the pioneering days. So I felt like we all fought our way through it together.
Absolutely. And guys, for those of you who I kind of glossed over it, but it was huge. And this was a moment, I think it was like maybe 3 years ago, when we were all at the one convention. I can't remember which one it was, but I never knew that Steve wrote episode 3. You wrote the entire season, correct?
Most of it, yeah.
The entire season of season 3, which is Digimon Tamers. And we had this, I remember this moment where it's like, wait, you wrote the entire season? It's like, wait, you voiced Hitmon? It's like, what? Yeah, it's crazy, but it was good. It was awesome.
Yeah, I had a little fanboy moment with you there. I remember that. That was very funny.
You
voiced my favorite character.
As I did with you, because that was amazing writing for that season.
Oh, okay, let us take a look. Okay, based on your own experience working with Disney, what's your favorite Disney movie and why?
Oh.
And your iconic Digimon character
voice of choice, please.
Oh my God.
Only if you feel comfortable doing that. If not, just answer the question.
How do you choose a favorite Disney movie? Oh my God. Oh God, I love so many of them for so many different reasons. I'm gonna choose one based on the character, not necessarily based on my opinion.
Okay.
But I think Guillermo would have liked Little Mermaid best. Just because the music was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was for sure.
And he wanted to be part of somebody's world all the time, so.
All right. Let's see. Nick had a question for you. I'm not sure if you'd be able to do it, but he wanted to meet you last year in Tennessee and do a custom voice recording for the final battle of wait a minute. Since that was at the character's not sure. Oh. So I guess there's a fan that is wondering if you ever do custom audio recordings, and if so, what's the best way to contact you to do that?
I do them for charity from time to time. I do them probably 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
If you want a really high quality recording, that's really the only way I can do it.
Gotcha.
We're bound by union rules, and I can't do professional recordings that way. However, I am on Cameo.
There you go. Cameo,
if you want
Nick.
Something on Cameo, it'll just be on my phone, but I'll make the quality as good as I can.
What is for Nick and anybody else who wants to possibly hire you to do that? Do you remember what your username is on Cameo?
I think you can just look my name up.
Okay.
Go to the Cameo website and search my name. I don't think there is a username kind of situation there.
Awesome. Let's see.
is so weird. All I'm seeing is a postage stamp image of you. I wonder if now it's that.
Did you? It's kind of a question that's on there, but I'm kind of going to curtail it so it answers maybe a couple of other people's questions as well. So Guilmon, when you saw the character, when you were auditioning for that, did you already have that voice? Was that like one of your stock voices that you like, and maybe you just like did a variation of it, or was this something completely original that you came up with?
Was that Guilmon that you said?
Yeah.
Oh, Guilmon, I was actually in the room recording another character at the time, and had no intention of voicing that character at all. Didn't even know about the character at the time, and I guess they were having trouble casting it. And so Mary asked if I would audition on the spot, and it was basically just on a break.
Wow.
And she showed me the footage of Guilmon, and the first thing that I thought of was that bubble voice, and I've been doing that voice since I was a little kid.
Okay.
So it's just a fun opportunity to try something different, and she just said, do something really innocent and sweet, and it can be weird, and that was the first thing that came out, and it just seemed to match the character really well. And that day, I think I ended up recording like 4 episodes just to catch up on the backlog of everything.
What?
And we just plowed through that as fast as we could to catch up with the rest of production.
Wow.
That turned out to be one of my favorite characters.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that.
Let's see.
Hey, 1 second.
Let me. Was it? Ashley had a question. Was it hard to change different voices
sometimes, depending on what you were doing?
Yes, particularly on season 2, it was difficult because I was going in that episode. I only did it very briefly, but I voiced Poromon also. So I did that voice at the same time I was doing Magnamon. Right. And I think I was doing some Wolverine at the time too. And to the best of my recollection, I was doing some Wolverine for video games at the time. And so my morning session would be, fighting like this, bub. And then I'd walk in the studio and my voice would be thrashed, and I was supposed to be recording Poromon, and sometimes the only thing that would come out was That's all it was. So yeah, the answer is very much yes. It was very difficult to go back and forth with some of those characters. They were very strenuous. So.
What did you do to help you? Because obviously you had to. When you had that session for Poromon, you had to obviously bring something to the table. So what did you do to help yourself?
Well, there were some days that Mary actually just sent me home.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she said, just come back. We'll do the other characters that you've got. I had enough characters in the show that I could fill up a full session, fortunately.
Cool.
Playing Raydramon and Flamedramon, quite a few characters on the show.
Yeah.
So there was always enough for me to do that it didn't waste everybody's time. And then the next time I would just come and just do all the Poromon stuff to catch up. So
yeah.
That's how we managed that. And after the first session, I just told her I've got to schedule this early in the week before I blow my throat out, because I was doing a lot of really big, gnarly characters, a lot of fighting things and creatures, aliens things. So
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. Are we going to do an anniversary for season 3?
This is a question for us. Are we going to do an anniversary for season 3? So basically, just kind of bring you into the fold. I've been a very active proponent of doing the anniversaries for Digimon. So last year was the 20th anniversary for season 1. This year is the 20th anniversary for season 2. Next year will be the 20th anniversary for season 3.
Right.
And what I always try to do is, get in touch with actors who might want to be a part of that. And anytime that I have the opportunity to book conventions, that's also an opportunity for any actors that were involved in that to say, hey, yeah, include me in that. So I don't know. You and I can talk about that later, but something to put on your put on the back burner if that's something that you might be interested in.
Yeah, I just started working with a new convention rep who likes to put casts together. So when that time comes, if you give me a little lead time, I might be able to get him on that and get us all out there together. That would be amazing.
I will touch base with you later on that to get more information from you.
Okay, cool.
For sure.
Okay, so when we are on break from voice acting, do we play any of the Digimon
video games?
I have voiced over 400 video games, and I've played maybe 2. No, it's bad. I have a PS4 that Mary gave me like 4 years ago. It's still shrink wrapped.
Oh my God.
I'm terrible at video games. We just got an Oculus, and I just started doing a little bit of VR stuff because there's no learning curve with some of it. But
what's an Oculus?
The VR system. Oculus.
Okay. Oh, virtual. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
So we just took that up because we're bound at home now, and we've actually got a little bit more time. But during the normal year, between teaching voiceover and traveling to conventions and doing the voiceover gig, there's not enough time in the day to do anything else. I'm working usually about 8 to 12 hours a day, and that can be 7 days a week too. So video games for me, if I start a video game like I used to back in the day, I would play for 12 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Never gotten to try that.
Okay. To you as Poromon, what is your favorite thing about being with
Yoli?
Yuli gives good back rubs.
Yuli gives good back rubs. Okay.
Which would just be the back of the ball, because he's like a ball with a feather. So, yeah.
She stays with my feathers sometimes too.
Oh, here's a really good question.
How did you fall into script adapting? Because you have written a lot of anime shows
outside of Digimon.
I needed the money, man. Honestly, it was rough back then. Anime doesn't pay very much. As voice actors, so we all had to do a lot of different things. And one of the things I was asked to do was to try to write for anime. And because of my musical training, it sort of made sense, matching the lip flaps with the beats and the phrasing and all that stuff. It was very musical to my mind.
Yeah.
So it was something I was able to do, and I could do it in my free time while I held down 3 other day jobs to support my voiceover hobby at the time.
Yes.
And it paid pretty well. It was pretty good. It was grueling work though, especially on a show like Digimon season 3. I spent about 40 hours on a 22-minute script.
Wow.
And then when Disney took over, they would analyze and overanalyze everything, and I would write 5 different versions of a lot of the scripts too. So I'd put in sometimes 60 hours on a single episode. It was brutal. It was just brutal.
Oh man.
I was very attentive to sync. I wanted to make sure the sync was right for the actors as best I could. And having been in the booth so many times with bad scripts, I wanted my scripts to be, easy for everybody to negotiate. So I put a lot of extra time and attention into that. And it was tough. That was some of the hardest work I ever did, I think.
Wow.
I slept less during those years than at any time in my life, I think. I was up all.
Do you remember what your first script that you wrote was? For what show?
That was way back in the day. I don't remember offhand. No, I was writing for what was that show with Johnny Young Bosch? Maybe your guys can help me out.
Bleach.
Stampede.
Oh, that yeah.
I can't remember.
Trigun.
Thank you. Yeah, Trigun. I was one of the main writers on Trigun. I wrote for. Oh my God, so many different shows. I just don't remember now. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
A lot of the female-oriented shows too. I've never seen them, and I don't remember them. It's 20 plus years ago. Digimon was pretty early on, but I had a little bit of experience by the time I got into that. Yeah. I think Jeff Nimoy was one of the people who kind of helped me along in that process, and Michael Sorich. Mikey was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be very cognizant and of your time. It is 6:00. If you want to stop, we can stop. If you want me to see what other questions we might have, I can see what we can probably get through maybe for the next 5 minutes. If you know.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do like 3 more questions.
Okay.
3 more questions. Let's see what we've got.
Okay. Any favorite Wolverine moment?
Lots of favorite Wolverine moments. I was just doing another little Zoom seminar yesterday, so I had my claws out here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've got a few sets of these. One of my favorite stories about Wolverine was very, very early on, playing Wolverine in X-Men Legends. That was the first time I played Wolverine. I was in the booth and I was doing my first fight scene. We did a lot of the dialogue first, and then we went to the fight scenes in what they call sound set at the end. And the very first time I went to do that first swipe, I use my whole body when I'm working. I'm a really physical actor. And when I went to do that first swipe, I went, and I farted. And and it was pretty loud. And I thought, oh man, I really hope that they didn't hear that. And there was a whole room full of people on the other side of the glass. And I must have had this weird look on my face. And the engineer said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I just heard a tech in the room or something. Do you mind if I do that again? I want to make sure you have a nice clean take." And I don't know if anybody noticed, but I sure did. And so I tried it again, and I did it again. And it just, for some reason, that particular movement caused that reaction in the body. And fortunately, I got some clean ones out, and not clean parts, clean life. I'm sure that they got what they needed. But later on, after playing Wolverine, I played Wolverine for, probably 12, 13 years. Much later on, when I was working on shows like Wolverine and the X-Men or Hulk versus those kinds of things, if a fart would happen, I'd actually leave it. I wouldn't tell anybody. And it's sort of become a little thing that it's like a, what do you call it? One of those little secret gifts.
Yeah, right. Easter eggs. Yeah.
It's a little Easter egg. It smells like eggs, oddly enough. Yeah. So if you listen carefully enough, in Wolverine's most ferocious fight scenes, he's farting probably about 4 to 5% of the time. So, yeah. So I don't know if that ruins your vision of Wolverine, but it kind of enhanced it for me. One of the things that I didn't mind about that is that it kind of humanizes characters when body sounds and things like that happen. For me, it kind of humanizes the character, because in real life, anything could happen. He's a mutant. His whole body is being torn apart every time he fights. Every time those claws come out, it hurts. It's blood.
Yeah.
So why not fart once in a while?
I'm assuming with shows like Trigun, which was way, way, way back in the day, when you were writing for that, you had to time code as well?
Yes, I time coded every show I ever wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the most arduous part of the process. Sometimes, and I was working on a little tiny computer and a little tiny TV set. It was really hard to see the lip flaps for everything. Trigun was a really fun show to write. I love that show. And it was Johnny's very first anime role, his first cartoon.
Was it really?
He came to do that straight out of Power Rangers.
Oh my gosh!
And so I was there for a few of his first recording sessions when he was really green and really nervous. And look at him now. I mean, it's just amazing.
I know.
Amazing what he's done.
I have stories about watching him before I did my session when we were doing Power Rangers Turbo, and that would make you cringe.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he's come so far in such a long time.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy too. Amazing.
Absolutely. All right, we've got 2 more. I don't know if you ever actually liked the way that you did with Johnny, but did you ever physically work with Bob Papenbrook?
I did. I worked with Bob many times. In fact, I did a whole show with him. I can't remember the name of the show, but we were in the same room for 26 episodes of something or other over at Salami Studios.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Oh, man. It just broke my heart when he passed. And Bryce carries on his legacy so beautifully, though.
Absolutely.
Bob was so proud of him back in the day. And Bryce was just a little boy at the time. And Bob was training him to fight back then. He was his fighting coach.
Oh, wow.
And he he would light up more talking about that than anything else he did, and just such a wonderful actor too, and big jolly man.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
Pappy. I miss Pappy.
I do too, man. All right, last question, sir.
Okay.
What is your dream voiceover project?
Oh, my dream voiceover project is anything that I'm doing in a studio when this virus is gone, pretty much. I'm so great. I'm just so grateful for all the gigs that I've had throughout the years. I can't believe the characters that I've been able to voice. I never think in terms of the thing that I haven't gotten.
Yeah.
I'm always just so grateful for the ones that I have, and so astonished that anybody would hire me for them, that I don't think about the ones that I don't have yet.
Right.
I audition still more than I do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Before this pandemic hit, I was auditioning between 10 and 30 times a week on the average, and booking occasionally.
Yeah.
So I take that very seriously, and I take the audition as the job. Jack Angel once told me when I first got in the business that the audition is the job.
Yeah.
So if you end up booking it after the fact, awesome. But I get to try out so many different things.
Exactly. It's like if you didn't have some of the auditions you had, then you wouldn't realize some of the voices that are inside of you that otherwise wouldn't have come out.
Yeah. And also, if I don't book something, one of my friends does. We all know each other now.
Yeah.
And, I'm always excited to see what other people do and what they ultimately choose in the production room.
Yeah.
So that's fun to see. But I think ideally I'd want to be able to work from a home studio in Hawaii. That's the goal right now. I want to move to Hawaii in
Maui?
About 5-6 years. Big Island.
Big Island. Okay.
Big Island. Yeah. Bought a piece of property there. I can't afford to build on it yet. So.
Okay. All right.
But the plans that we drew up have an underground recording studio there. So
Sweet.
I don't really care what I'm recording as long as I'm there and recording. So
yeah,
it'd be very cool.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for any of the work that comes along, and I can't wait for this thing to be over so we can see each other again and
absolutely, man.
Together.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's tough.
Yeah. Well, and we'll see what happens after hopefully all this blows over in the next couple of months. We might be looking at a totally new way of doing recordings from now on, depending on how things go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody's gearing up for that. I've got a little home studio here. I have another one where I do my webinars, and I've closed that one down just because I can't have anybody in there.
Right.
So I'm in my closet every day recording now.
Wow.
And it's okay.
Wow, yeah.
I'm grateful.
Well, I am very grateful to you for, like I said in the beginning, on such short notice, just coming to the table and just saying, yeah, I'll be willing to do it. And I'm sure all of our fans that are watching right now love and appreciate you for being able to spend some time with us today. And I myself, am extremely grateful. So thank you so much.
It is my honor and privilege. It's always good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Thank you for thinking of me.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we are done for today's episode. Next week, continue watching for episode 22 when we come back and see the first appearance of XVmon. Please, please, please be good humans. Keep your feet on the ground. Reach for the stars. I love you.
Bye, everybody.